at Deltek Vision CRM. This is a live demo and Q&A session. So just some introductions. My name is Karen Guzman, and I'm a system engineer here at Deltek. And the things that we're going to take a look at today is Deltek CRM and Vision CRM. So you might think that those are two different things. I hope to give you some clarity around what these two offerings are as we go through this session. So a major initiative that's been underway at Deltek this year has been the introduction of our new Deltek CRM. You might have heard about it in Insight, or you might have seen talk about it. And Deltek CRM is basically a cloud-based solution. It's purpose-built and it's browser agnostic. So that means it's going to run on your iPad, your Surface device, anywhere you'd like. And it's going to be built for firms like yourselves. It's designed to help you win more projects and grow faster. And the solution is going to act like a central place for corporate knowledge and sales activities around unique opportunities. It helps project-based businesses such as yourselves gather and share business development intelligence, streamline the proposal management process, and capture all the touch points around winning new work. So we know that a critical success factor in winning new work is a need for everyone to collaborate and communicate. So I'm going to show you a little bit about that. With Deltek CRM, internal and external team members can share tasks, events, notes, all from within the opportunity. And it's going to come with the integration of GovIQ. So if you haven't heard of GovIQ, it's Deltek's public sector intelligence solution for AEC firms. So you can reduce the manual entry of data that prevents such a barrier to the adoption of CRM applications. Okay, so with that said, I'm going to get rid of the slides here, and actually let's take a look at some product. So let me close this and jump into Deltek CRM. So what I'm showing here is a Deltek CRM product. And while Deltek CRM is designed for project-based organizations of all sizes, this new solution is going to be a compelling offering for smaller to medium-sized companies that need a real CRM system versus managing business development activities on spreadsheets, maybe email programs, or other legacy systems that you might have. As you can see, it has a more modern, elegant user interface, and it's designed to make it easy for business development professionals such as yourselves to use in their daily activities. Some of the key capabilities it's going to include is support for major functionality you need out of a CRM system, opportunities, clients, and contacts tracking. And you'll also be able to customize the application to speak to the unique vocabulary of your business. So you'll be able to add those custom fields. Looking over here at collaboration, so this is where we come into the pursuit collaboration. So you can invite your teaming partners to join your team in a collaborative space, share the details of your pursuit and any strategy for an opportunity, and track progress against those tasks. So the goal is, better coordination of efforts and faster response times. We're finding that using a collaboration space like this, the business development team really, has the most positive reaction is usually the proposal group. So, you could think of your proposals teams using this collaboration space. It's going to improve accountability for them. It's going to give them a unified view, making sure your brand is being professionally promoted in the market. And really, probably the most important is the decrease in ramp-up time. So if you bring somebody new in on the team and you need to get them up to speed, you can use this collaboration space to just, decrease their ramp-up time. We have touch point tracking. So looking at the activities here, or touch points, those key milestones. So gaining comprehensive information surrounding that opportunity. So we have milestones such as award dates, solicitation dates, RFI due dates are automatically added to your opportunity for better pursuit management. We can track the team members that are on this, whatever clients and contacts that we're teaming with on this opportunity, as well as tracking the competition and any strengths and weaknesses. Where that GovIQ comes into play here is when we add an opportunity. So you'll have the ability to, if you have a GovIQ subscription, you can go ahead and choose the import from IQ, look up a opportunity, and go ahead and import that in. And so, like I said, that's going to import, what GovIQ calls as milestones. It's going to import that information. Like I said, RFP due dates, all that information, kind of saving you that data entry. So it's going to give you information about the stakeholders, what's the location of that, all the information that is tracked there in that system. Okay. And like I said, adding touch points in the system will be just as easy on every screen. We have this button at the top to add a touch point. This is going to be where you're going to be able to track those notes and activities of everything that's going on in the system. So opportunities, clients, and contacts are currently what's in the Deltek CRM system. Later in 2015, it's going to be available for mobile access as well through our mobile touch application. And I'm sure you're wondering, when are you going to be able to get your hands on this new interface? So this is going to be available to you in Q2 of this year. So that kind of gives you an idea of what the Deltek CRM system is. We're going to take a look over at the Vision CRM system. And again, this is just Deltek CRM is just a new user interface to get at your CRM data. Looking at Vision CRM, let me pop over to there. Okay, so we're looking at our marketing campaign. So where I'm starting out here in the CRM system is we like to think of CRM and all the components around CRM as like a funnel. And one of those components that we put in the funnel would be the marketing campaigns, or that initial contact, and possibly some leads, some qualified contacts. And then we hope to move that to the opportunity stage and then produce a revenue-producing project. So basically, a marketing campaign is not a project-specific event or activity, and it's to reach new, maybe existing clients, and it's used to track what the effort might be to bring in that new contact or opportunity. You would create a marketing campaign record to track campaign costs, activity, track leads, contacts, and opportunities and projects are all tracked here. So you can see on this main screen here who was in charge, what was the budget on that campaign, what were the responses, the total number of leads and contacts that you received from that response. And so on this example, I have brought in 7 projects from this campaign, that cost, had a budget of, $10,000. So maybe that's great. Maybe that's a good hit rate for that, and maybe I want to use that campaign again. Those associated activities, so any of those touch points that happen with that marketing campaign can be tracked here, and the contacts that are associated with that, and then any opportunities or projects. Okay, so let's take a look at the next step here with the Leads Info Center. So that marketing campaign might have generated some leads for you. And so the Leads Info Center in Vision is a place to, separate from the Contact Info Center, gives you a way to store and manage records of prospective contacts who are marketing related. So for example, you might purchase a list of marketing prospects, you attend a trade show and you grab some business cards. You can put those in the Leads Info Center, and then you don't need to mix them up with the contacts in your Contact Info Center. So keep in mind, these would be unqualified contacts for now, but we're going to have the ability to convert those. So up here at the top, I can convert that current lead, and I can do 3 things here. So I can either convert them to a client, I can convert them to a qualified contact and put them in my Contact Info Center, or I can create an opportunity from this lead. Okay. So let's talk about contacts for a moment. So we talked about leads. Let's move on to the contacts area. So whether your lead, was from a contact that was added from Outlook, it was added from the mobile device, maybe it was added from the Deltek system, Deltek CRM, it's going to be fully integrated to, the rest of the system. So let's take a look at that contact. I'm looking at Paul Collier here. So in the main information here, we can see information about Paul. We can see what activities that, he's been associated with here. Any newsletters that he likes to receive from us or holiday card. This is kind of leveraging of the relationship. So we want to think about the relationship we have with Paul, what he likes to receive from us. Any associations that kind of help us extend that reach with Paul with things beyond the business side. We can look here at his personal information and we can see here he likes golf. So maybe we know we're having a golfing event, so we can, send out an email, campaign about that. So I can go ahead and email Paul right from the screen here, and we can set up email templates. So if I know I'm having an annual golf outing and I want to go ahead and invite Paul, I can do that right from the screen by setting up those templates. Okay, so that's kind of the basics of our contacts area. And we know that contacts live in the client organization, so let's go take a look there. I'm going to pull up. Okay, so we know that there are many layers to a client's organization. They can be national, they can be multinational. And what Vision allows is a multiple parent-child relationship with clients, and we allow that with a client hierarchy here. So in addition to being able to have multiple addresses as well for each client, primary versus billing, accounting only addresses, we can have here this hierarchy structure here to support that. So you can see here my Army Corps of Engineers here is my top level, and then I have different divisions within that client hierarchy here. I have the Southwest Division and then Fort Worth. So what's important here to know is that when I look at the contacts that are associated with that client, we're going to support that hierarchy all the way through. So for here, the client, I can see the contacts for this client only, or I could see it for client and all lower levels of the hierarchy. So that's going to stream through here as well to the opportunities that are associated in projects all the way through. Okay, so now we're going to take a look at the opportunity. So we fed that funnel, we've got that information in there, the clients and contacts, we're hoping we're leading this to an opportunity. And this is where we're going to capture all of that info for the unawarded contract. Okay, so looking at my main opportunity record here, this is where the integration is going to come in if you're an existing client and maybe use our accounting system, or so you might have the tie here to your proposal project. So this is where you're going to track that overhead, time, and expense dedicated to win that opportunity. You could track that project here. If you're using our project planning module, that again is something that can be linked in if you have that already. Looking at my down here at the organizational field, so the organizational that owns the opportunity, we have 5 levels. If you're an existing client today, this is going to track on your org structure that you already have. But if you're new, you're going to go ahead and set this up, and you're going to determine how this is going to determine how you're going to report on these things. So looking at my organization here, I'll just open it up. I've got Cohen and Associates, and I've got my core bread stemming down to my admin, your different levels, maybe your offices down to your disciplines. Okay, so key people that are in charge of this opportunity, down here to my revenue. So my revenue, these are standard fields. My revenue times my probability are give me my weighted revenue, and then spread that out over across a time period. So here's my estimated start and completion date, and that's going to flow through to forecasting. Because this is a system of record, we're also going to track things like, what stage it's in. Maybe you want to track loss reason to do some loss reporting, what type of opportunity it is, and, where did it come from. Most, work sometimes comes from repeat business, so we want to track, what's the source of this opportunity. And then the date open and date close, 59 days open, for this type of work with a revenue of $2 million might be great for my firm. Or, maybe it's something that we want to go for more of this type of work if it was only 59 days. And then something I want to keep in mind here with the design of this screen is you can keep it as lean and mean as you'd like. So, I have these fields organized in a certain way and these labels a certain way, but I want to go over something, a screen designer, and this is where you get into the ease of use that Vision has. It is configuration versus customization. So it's going to be very easy to, make changes to the screen. I'm just going to open my screen designer. It's a little triangle at the bottom right, and kind of show you the ease of use here. So when you're designing this to kind of help your users drive that adoption, you can see in here I have my lead engineer. Maybe you don't call it lead engineer. It's as easy as going in here and changing the caption, and then that label will change. Moving fields around, you have nice snap lines for organizing those fields. You can hide the fields by role. I can go ahead and put some help text around each field. I can drop this, little question mark here, and give the users kind of some hints on what you expect to be in that field. Here I can make fields required as well. I can even make them a color. So I can make them required in red, really drawing the user's attention to this field. So again, make it easy for you to design the screens, to your firm's needs. I'm going to say OK here. You can see I just changed that label, so it's just as easy as that. And let me just pause for a moment. John, I'm going to have to ask. I think there were some questions from the floor, but I'm not able to see them, John.
Okay, no worries. I've got two so far, Karen.
Okay.
So let's see. Jim, you've got a couple questions. So the one about pricing, we'll just reach out to you directly and give you that information. So you had asked Karen to discuss the integration with RPM.
RPM, meaning resource planning, I'm thinking?
Jim, can you?
It's probably
Jim,
resource planning.
That's what I think, yes. And then, so let's go with that question. Then, Jim's second question is, can you issue mass marketing outreach through the system?
Okay, so integration resource planning. So again, the tie to you'd be able to resource planning. If you own that module today, you'd be able to create opportunities create plans from opportunities. And we're going to talk a little bit in a second about service estimate. I can tell you about that as a tie to planning as well. So I'll get there in just a second. And mass email. So we can create the email lists that you're going to send out and do the email template like that. But if you're looking for more of a kind of email marketing system, kind of like a constant contact, I think, that would be your choice there. We can create the list for you, and then you send it out to whoever is going to do your email campaigning.
Okay, and I think, Jamie, that answers your question also. So, okay, that's it for now, Karen.
Okay, thanks. Okay. So back to my opportunity here. I talked about the revenue and spreading out that revenue here over a time frame. So here we have the estimated revenue. This is where you're going to front load or back load that revenue here. You can designate this so it can flow through to your reports. And let's talk about service estimate for a second. So this kind of ties into a little bit of the planning question, but when you think about the projects you pursue, you have to think about, is it financially viable? So this is going to give you a quick pass at that. You can put the phases of work in, the resources, the hours, looking at consultants, expenses, and any field crews maybe that you put on this job. If you use the project planning module, you can take this data and create a full project plan. So when I said you could create a plan for an opportunity, you can choose to pull in the service estimate as well. If you need to provide a cost proposal for this, you can either merge it to a Word document, so we can merge that cost proposal to a Word document here and get you a cost proposal letter, or you could just print it out to a report. So if you needed something nice with your company logo in it or something, we could push that out to Word. So you can see that. Okay. So when we take a look at moving over here to the team and activities, again, those touch points that are so important, we're going to layer those all across the system. So in every info center, you're going to be able to see those. And then because this is a relational database, all the things that we saw from the client contact side, we're also going to see from the opportunity side. So that, relational database. So this GoNoGo Analysis, I like to point this one out because this is kind of, again, gives you an example of the true strength of the system. This is actually, a simple configuration that was done. This was a client's GoNoGo sheet. They had this in Excel. They were, using it and wanted to get it in Division so they could get rid of that, all those disparate sheets sitting around. So everyone can access it here. Now it lives on a tab. And we can go ahead and create this GoNoGo by giving it some values here, creating the fields, giving it values in the drop-downs, and then creating workflow around that to give it different values to create that percentages. So you can have workflow behind the scenes that based on information that you put in these fields to calculate that score. So it can help you with that. Okay. So I want to talk about a little bit about two other areas of the systems before I go in and actually talk about proposals. So from the opportunity record, the hopes is that it turns into a project record when it's awarded. So we'll take a look at the projects here. So once the opportunity becomes a project, you'll be able to create that project from the opportunity. So I have the ability here to create project from, and here's where my required in yellow comes into play, where I colored those fields. But I can go ahead and create an opportunity from an opportunity, go ahead and select that opportunity, and give it a number. Okay, so this is going to allow you to kind of have all that information you tracked at the opportunity level. You won't lose that. So that's going to all pull up here to the project level so you can see all that history and all that stuff that was done at that level up here at the project's level. Okay, same thing applies for the design of the screens and labeling of the screens here. So organizational structure would flow through here to the project side. Something I like to talk about here in the projects, just here is from the CRM side is the background tab. So here's where you're going to track those description categories. So, we know that having all this information, it's all around in different places. We want to have it in one spot so that the text is right when we want to go through and pull those project sheets. So the description category here, you can create as many categories as you like. You give it a description, and you'll be able to pull these categories through the proposal module, and I'll show you that in a little bit. This is here where you can track any awards and any project codes. So if you need to do the SF330 form, we do support that as well, so your project codes are going to be stored here. The other piece I'd like to talk about, before I show the proposal piece, is just employees. So we know that, your greatest asset in your company is your employee. So we want to talk about ways that we track information in the employee record to be able to help you pull those resume sheets as well if you'd like to use proposals. So looking at Bill Berry here, I've got information about him, what's his professional years experience, what organization is he a part of, what's his title. Things like tracking his education and licenses, his skills. It's a very popular workflow that, users might use that we can set up to let him know when his licenses expire. So we'll send that out. We can send an alert to the dashboard or to his email letting him know about those. What projects that he's worked on. So this is a association from the project side and from the employee side of what he's worked on. What's his role and description, and then his resume information. So when I talked about description categories back there in projects, the same thing goes for employees. So we can have different categories for Will Berry, and I can, depending on what kind of proposal I'm doing, maybe it's medical, so I want to give the medical flavor on his resume category. I can create those different ones. The SF330 box 18 has a special, description that I might like to use, and I would store that here. Okay. So with that, I'm going to move on to talk about the proposal module for a moment. Okay, so with the proposal module, we know that you spend all your time looking for the information and you don't have enough time to format it. So we kind of want to flip that around. We want to reduce the time it takes you to the proposals generated and out the door. And this is going to help you do that. So the way the proposal module works is that we dice it up into sections. So you'll see here my different sections for my project approach or my resumes. So I'm basically telling it what info center I want to pull the data from, what merge template I want to use. We're going to support the merge to Word and also to Adobe InDesign. So looking here at the projects, I'm just going to show you a quick creation here of that, how that works. So basically those description categories that we saw back in the Info Center, it's basically just a left to right pull. So left to right, I'm going to say OK. Description pulls up in the text editor, and then this allows me to edit that text if I need to before I do the merge without affecting the main text in the Info Center. So I can go ahead and mock this up, or I could do a little bit of tweaks and changes before I go ahead and merge that out. If I want to include any graphics in my merge, it's the same thing. So I have those thumbnails that are associated on the Files tab back in the Info Center, and I can select the graphics I want to use for that merge. For your Resumes tab, this works the same way. So those, building the resumes, we can build it by category or we can build it by query. So those categories work in the same way as I showed in projects, but also you have a query builder. It's a pretty powerful way to build these, and I can choose to do it with or without project restriction. So tell me all the projects this person has worked on, or just open it up to all the projects in the database. And then I can build based on any field in the database, all your custom fields, any field. Here I can go ahead and build a resume format that I'd like and save that and use that again. So kind of to give you an idea, this is the output file of that project sheet. I just went ahead and pre-merged it here, but that's the project experience, pushing out straight to InDesign from the proposal module. So this is how it looks with the images and the text. Okay. Let me pause there. We all set with questions?
Yes, we are.
Okay, cool, thanks. Okay, So the culmination of everything we've seen, we're going to go to the dashboard next. So the Vision dashboard. This is where what the user sees when they log in. And based on who you are in the company and what role you serve, these dashboards can be set up for you. So, all the data that we've seen, any of that could be put on the dashboard here. So this is a way to compile it, and it basically is what you want to see, what's important to you on a daily basis will be shown here. So I'm just giving you a couple of examples here. It's a report option, our hit rate report, so you can understand what amounts of revenue and from what types of opportunities, what's doing well and what's not doing not so great, in your if you want to make some changes there. And then this big box over here, this CRM dashboard. So this might look a little different than anything you've seen, and this is a different format or presentation type that we have for reporting. And it's using an analytics tool called Tableau, and this is the presentation layer that's built off of our data warehouses or cube data for Vision. So you can see here I have my office locations against the opportunity stage. I can see, how is Boston, doing against Chicago. I can see here a spark line type graph, opportunity revenue versus weighted revenue. How long is it taking us to close opportunities? So, these figures are kind of way out there in my demo data, but you can kind of see, how long, what's the average that, my Washington office has their opportunities open for. Opportunity pipeline, so I can look at a pie chart here, look at the pipeline, the awarded amounts here. I see, I've got 42 million there. Are we doing enough, work? Do we have enough new opportunities in our pipeline? And then showing that graphically. So people really love seeing this on a map view. So this is kind of giving you that weighted revenue by city. So it's saying, where is the work that we're doing? And we can overlay information here. So this colored here is population growth. So you can layer over census data. So where you're pursuing work today versus where the current demand is. So again, just another way to display your CRM information using Tableau. Again, we talked a little bit about workflows. There's an alerts dashboard here. So those alerts and dashboard here, so I can basically set up alerts for pretty much any field in the system. So in here, my example is the probability has changed. So that probability changed on my Opportunity Info Center to 80%. Can alert a team to, get in place to move to the next stage. Janet Anderson moved to a new company. So why do I care about that? Well, maybe, Janet Anderson is somebody that I do business with, and I need to go and look at the new company she moved to, maybe see if I have any contacts there, leverage that relationship. Maybe I need to make some edits into that record. And then again, tracking those activities. So there's another place in here for the activities where I can, again, see what I have going on, with who, right at a glance here. Okay. So from there, from the activities, I'd like to talk about Connect for Microsoft Outlook as well, because it's a big component kind of our CRM process, and also Touch CRM. So we know that a lot of people spend a big chunk of their day in Outlook, so I wanted to touch upon that Outlook piece that we have. So Connect for Microsoft Outlook is something that we offer as a bi-directional sync between your Vision CRM system and Outlook. So basically, it's set up on your Outlook folders. It gives you an additional structure here on your folder list. And based on criteria that you put in, your user account and your configuration settings, it will take on what records that it's going to send back and forth to Vision. Looking here at my existing email, I can use functionality that we already have, the drag and drop, to create a contact. I'm going to go ahead and do that. And you see this gray bar here at the top. So this is where it's going to tell whether it's going to sync that information. So your personal contacts, like your babysitter and your hairdresser, you're going to leave that personal, and that's going to be gray. If you want to share that information with Deltek, you click it and it turns green. And then the next time the sync happens, we'll send that information over to Vision. So let me pull up one that I have filled out. We took a look at Paul, so let's take a look at Paul Collier over here. So he's my main guy here that has all the information. So looking at Paul here, we can see what client he's associated with. These are quick lookups to the system. So this is actually a direct lookup. I can either start typing in there a quick find, or I can pick from the pick list here. And again, that's live data from your system. Down here on the left is, current information that you have about Paul. And then over here on the right is that CRM information that we're overlaying for you. So again, those activities. So what are the last touch points I had with Paul? If I'm about to go into a meeting with him, maybe I want to see, okay, what was the last time we talked with him? What was the outcome of the meeting? Any opportunities that he's associated with us and what stages that they're in? Any employees that he might have a relationship with, and any projects that he's worked on. So this kind of gives you that complete picture of the contact. A lot of times I get asked about, how easy is it going to be to create an activity here from the email system. So there's a couple of different ways. I wanted to talk about there are these quick hit buttons up in here at the top for creating a contact, a client, an opportunity, or an activity. Or you can do it from an email. You could do the drag and drop. So if I wanted to drag and drop it over here to activities, it's go ahead and takes the body of the email and puts it in the notes field. So I just have to fill out a few things about the subject and what type and when it's going to be. And then I can associate what client this activity is going to be with. Again, quick find, drop down list as I start typing. Okay, taking a look at the opportunity form in CRM. So again, this opportunity would be something that would be added to your folder list here, and this gives you a look into, from the opportunity side, again, what's happening with that opportunity, what contacts are involved in it, what activities are going on, and then some of the things that we talked about on the general tab back in the info center. So, what stage that it's in, what type, where is the source coming from, and then again that forecasting information. So you can put in those dates in here so you can forecast and spread that information over time. How many days that it's open and what's the revenue that expected from this opportunity. So these are the can fields that are available with BigConnect for Microsoft Outlook. And then the other piece that wanted to talk about would be the touch application. So let me go over there and talk about touch for a moment. So our touch CRM is basically our mobile app. So we talked about different ways that people can get information into the system. So we want to give you all the ways to make it easy for your users to get that information, to get that good information into the system. So with our Touch CRM app, if you're a current client and own CRM today, this is available. This is going to give you a way to look at those opportunities, those clients, those contacts, and see the information about them. So if I look at the details here, you can kind of see the details of this client. These are hyperlinks, of course. Clicking on it brings up a map. Clicking on the phone number will call them. You can see the associated activities, projects, opportunities, with that contact right from the screen. And this is available for your Droid or iPhone and Windows Phone. So it's just in your app stores for that. There's kind of another screenshot of the client information as well. So that's our Touch CRM platform. This is your calendar, so you can see those activities on your calendar on your mobile device as well. Okay, so let me pause for a moment for questions.
You've got two, Karen.
Okay.
So the first is, how would the system reconcile two different entries for the same contact? So we'll start there, and then I'll give you the second question.
Okay, so this is for the Connect for Microsoft Outlook tool. So what it does is it has a when it does its sync, it's going to come up when it has two conflicting or existing information. It's going to bring up a dialog box for you. When you first start with the system, it's going to have a compare and merge tool for you to go and pick, what records that you want to kind of win. And then going forward, every time you sync, it's going to bring up that comparison. And it's going to say, okay, well, it has, which title you want to pick, which name you want to pick, things like that. And so you can decide whether the Outlook record wins or the Vision record wins in that scenario for which one you want to keep.
Perfect. Okay, second question is, do custom user-defined fields come over into Outlook?
Custom user-defined fields do not currently come over in Outlook. That would be actually one of the times where that would indeed be a custom engagement. And when I say custom, meaning that would be services would need to be involved in creating those custom fields for you. What I do find, though, is that people do sometimes rename some of, now your renaming structure will come through to here, so people might reuse one of our existing fields in this screen, maybe rename it for their need and use it that way instead of having the screen customized to get an additional field. Okay.
Okay, that's it for now.
Okay. Well, I guess we're right at, what are we right at? Almost 45 minutes. We have a few more minutes. We got done a little early. I must have been talking a little fast today.
Okay, yeah, so if any and all questions, type them into the Q&A tab, and we have time to answer them. Okay, nothing's coming in, Karen, so I tell you what, let's do this. Everyone, do you want to show your email address, Karen, and that way if anyone does have a follow-up question, they can ping you directly, and we'll wrap.
Yep, let me pull that up again on the screen. Okay. Get back to my PowerPoint here. There's my email address. So follow-up questions, comments, anything, don't hesitate.
Okay.
Send it over.
I'm not going to let you go quite yet. Questions are coming in now. Good job, everyone. Okay. Okay, let me just take a look at these to see how we can group these. All right. Okay, we'll start with Eric's question. So his question is about if his question is, do the CRM Cloud and the Vision CRM reside on the same system? Not 100% sure what that means. So do you want to just talk for a second about Vision CRM is?
Yeah, can you read me? They asked, does Deltek CRM and Vision CRM reside in the same server? Is that right?
Yes, Eric says yes.
Okay, all right, yeah. So yes and no, I guess. It depends. It depends if you're an existing CRM client today. That new Deltek CRM is, if you're familiar with the term Navigator, or if you've used that kind of Navigator HTML5 interface before, it would just be something that would be added, and yes, it would reside on the same server, and it's looking at the same data. If you're not an existing client today, we have options for you where that could be in a cloud environment. So you could buy that Deltek CRM tool in a cloud environment and use it that way. So it's kind of a couple of different options.
Okay. I think Diane wants a little bit more information on CMO. So I think, so Diane, your question is, what's the procedure to connect CRM to Outlook? That what Karen described is a product. It's a separate product called Connect for Microsoft Outlook. So Karen, do you want to give the 60-second overview of it being a separate product and how it works?
Sure. Yeah, so yep, so if you were interested in adding that module, basically what would happen is if you talk to your account manager and you want to turn on that module, you put in that activation code, you get an additional item on your menu tree to download that Outlook integration. So anybody that wants to be able to sync information back and forth would need to download that little installer. They would install that, and then that would add that kind of overlay to their Outlook client. Then you're going to do some configuration setup that maybe your IT person would help with to set that up with some credentials, and then you'll be on your way to set up the synchronization filters. And we have all that, and yeah, we have all that in super explicit instructions for you too.
So if you're not sure who your account manager is, if you want more information on the product, then give Karen a call or an email, and we'll point you in the right direction.
Sure.
Okay. Jim is interested to see more examples of the proposals output, and maybe talk a little bit about the new InDesign functionality.
Okay. Well, I have the proposal output that I showed in the project sheet here. I could show you a resume example. Let me grab one of those here I have on my desktop. Let me see. And I probably could, you know, send you some more examples offline. You know, John has your email address information. I'm just pulling up a resume sheet. Can you see the change here? I changed it from InDesign here from a project sheet. So this is an example of a resume in InDesign. I probably have another example that I can show, but you know, these are the two basics that we kind of show. And just to give you some frame around that, the way that these work is that we give you a macro to use within InDesign and in Word. So there's a macro that you'll be able to, you can take a short class on how to use that macro, and then you'll be able to design the InDesign templates yourself. You can have Deltek do it, of course, but you don't have to. You can take that class, you can use the macro, and then if you're familiar with, you know, using that, you can build these templates, and then you upload them to the database for use in proposals.
Okay. Related question is, to make the most of what you just showed, do you need Vision CRM?
To make the most of what I just showed, you need Vision CRM.
Yeah, to use the proposals module.
Correct, right. The Deltek CRM product that I showed, the kind of newer, sleeker interface that I showed, that's not going to have support for proposals in it. So yes. So that leads, anything that I show with leads and marketing campaigns and proposals, that is in the Vision CRM, full CRM client, not in the Deltek. Not to mean it won't come someday, but for right now, in the Deltek CRM interface, those aren't in there yet.
Sorry, I was going between mute and non-mute. Related question, Karen, is do you have to use InDesign, or can you export directly into Word?
Yes, you can export directly into Word, and we'll give you the macro for that too.
Okay. Gary had a question about automatically downloading public sector ops from GovIQ. Can you show what that looks like, Karen?
Yeah, so this was back in, so I'm back in Deltek CRM now. Can you see here where I add the opportunity? So if you have a subscription, you're basically to GovIQ, you're going to add that credentials into your settings, and then you're going to have the ability here to import for GovIQ. So importing that information here, and that's when, and my login, I think, just timed out. Oops. Yep. I was idle. Sorry about that. I'm logging back in. Oh, here we go. Okay. So I'm going to be able to look in here. I just did a quick find based on that, and I see my, my opportunity name and the GovIQ ID. So I can go ahead and select one, and I can import that from the screen here. Does that help?
Perfect.
There we go. Okay.
Okay, we'll just, a couple questions coming in about GovIQ that I'll take care of. So GovIQ is Deltek's public sector market intelligence solution. So historically, we've tracked opportunities at the federal level, AEC, and other markets. This year, we're extending that to include federal, state, and local public contracting opportunities. So if you do a lot of DOT work, this is a great solution. So it's a monthly subscription-based service. And if anyone has questions about GovIQ or would like to get more information on it, I will put my email out via a chat to everyone in the audience. We're having a webinar next week that's going to look at what the contracting landscape looks like across federal, state, and local in AEC in 2015. So that's next week, and I can get you the registration link for that webinar. But that is the nickel version of GovIQ. Okay, let's see. Other questions? I think at this point, Karen, we're good.
Nice. Okay.
So before we break, let me just get my email address out, and then we'll go.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep. See ya. Okay, great. Thanks, everyone, for your time this hour.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you, Karen.
All right. Thanks. Bye-bye.